Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. Well, you might notice my voice is a bit off. I've got the flu again. That's the second time this year, so that's kind of a drag. But I have it under control. We'll make it work. All right, it looks like it's kind of quiet and not too many people. I'm not really surprised. This week has been weird that way. Most of the online forums have just been like absent of people, even ones that are usually quite full. A lot of people I know suddenly got sick. In fact, my coworker went out. Well, I got the flu, but I don't know. She's got worse issues. We're not really sure all, but apparently she did. She said she broke some toes, and there's some other issues. So I'm kind of worried about her because we don't really know what's going on with her. She had an appointment today, so you know how the doctors are now. You don't find out anything for eons sometimes. So yes, there's been double work at work since I don't have my assistant. And then I didn't do any work for a few days because I was kind of sick. So now I'm catching up. It's been fun. And there's almost nobody in here compared to normal, which is interesting. Renee Cruz is in, if that person is still in. Mysterious Goings On. Okay, I'm not sure who that person is, but welcome. Rudy, welcome. Angels Don't Fall. Space River News. Preliminal. The Logical Danger. Yes, everybody's like 5 minutes late because I'm usually 5 minutes late. I should have known that. MN Fats 45. Another person that's new. Chloe. Shari D is in. Welcome. Jumping Ship, did I have you already? I think that's everybody. Voice is going to be a little scratchy. Hopefully it holds up. Yeah, it's been, I don't know if we've had a lot of weird shifties, because just a bunch of little stuff and medium stuff. So I think I talked last week about the knobs on my home stove changing, and now the knobs at the work location have it actually, there's only one knob. It's like a little plug-in burner, but it reversed. And I was actually really confusing because some time ago, I've had it for like 6 months, I had some cleaner on my hand, and apparently the cleaner was enough to remove all of the numbers that were painted on the knob. But you know, so you didn't know if you were on like 1, 2, 3, you didn't know the settings. But I kind of just knew. I'm like, okay, halfway, 1/4 of the way, it was enough, right? But now with all of those not there anymore, and then I went to just try to, so it used to be counterclockwise, now it goes clockwise. So I'm like, how come it's not working? The one saving grace is it has a light that goes on when the heat element kicks in, and I'm like, the heat element is going on the other. So I figured it out, but I've got 6 months of habit spinning it the other way, so it's taking me, it's been a little bit frustrating. It's like, no, it goes this way now. And I think I talked about the drainage ditches in my town, and did I talk about, I think I mentioned that they're shifty. So there was, I looked down there on the way yesterday, and I saw these 2 walk areas down there. Which it used to just go like this with water, right? But now it kind of goes like this, and then it has some walk areas, and then it goes down again. And I thought it was kind of weird, though. There's like, I guess they're walk areas. Maybe they're supposed to be to make the water flow better, but if they weren't there and you could walk on them is the point. They're flat instead of curved. And there was 2 small ones. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but it'd be great to walk along down there. Then today I look in the exact same place, and now there's like one little one, and then this really high one. Kind of makes more sense because then you'll have, if the water's low, you can go here. If the water's high, you can go there. But that wasn't what it was yesterday, and what was there yesterday was not what was there the week before. So I don't know. It's just crazy. I'm just hearing so many stories like yesterday I found this, and today it's that. So there, it's, you know, when we first started, I first started this journey, it was stuff from years ago that changed. Like, I swear this was it. Now it's stuff from yesterday. It's stuff today. It just, it's getting so crazy. So it's just a little bit more challenging, let's just say. Anybody knows that prairie on the I-5 going to San Diego from LA? There's like a town, I remember, that prairie. I don't remember a prairie on I-5 though. You know what? I used to take that road, I-5 from LA to San Diego on the I-5. I did take it a lot of times because I used to live in LA and my mother lived in San Diego. And so I would drive back and forth. Now, if there were no signs anywhere or anything on the I-5, I would say maybe I didn't know about it, but I have to say there's been a lot of weird new towns showing up in San Diego, especially way off to the north. But there's like, you know, I also ship, so I see blah, 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 city, California. I'm like, you know, last few years, I'm like, what? You know, is that in California? We didn't even have a winter this year in lower Wisconsin. It was canceled. Really, Wisconsin had no winter. That is actually pretty surprising. We have a new kind of puffin. We have a new kind of lot of animals. That's the other thing. There's been a lot of just like, oh, that one. I have this one saved. I don't know if you saw it on Reddit, but it's been making the rounds, this thing. Knife build. Okay. I thought it was a different name. There was another name I had it. I saved it on my Reddit account, but my Reddit account, like, I see neat stuff on there that's like Mandela-like, and I just save it. And then if I use up my saved piece of paper, then I go to my Reddit stash and I start picking along. And it's actually been kind of busy lately, so I'm like 21 days behind on my Reddit savings. But this guy was put on there recently. And you can see he's got like this puffin. They have these, the eyes are way back here, and then they just have lines, like these are just white lines on their face that make them look like they have weird eyes. Pretty crazy, don't you think? Like, would you ever have seen those and not remember them? Okay, razorbill. Yeah, it is razorbill. That's what I had for these to be, razorbill puffins. I love these guys. They are so cool. As if they've been here forever. Somebody comments, music is racist. Okay, I don't know if they're joking or not anymore. Didn't play that much of it, but... All right, let's look these guys up, these razorbills. I'm going to kind of assume that they didn't just get found last week. Razor-billed auk, or lesser auk, is a North Atlantic colonial seabird, the only extant member of the genus Alca. In 1918, the razorbill was protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty. Species faces major threats, including the destruction of blah, blah, blah. The population had increased from 2008 to 2015. Decreased from 2015 to 2020. What? In 2015. Wait, I don't even know if we're counting amounts. Those are years we're talking about. Okay, so the actual population is 838,000 to 1 million. Okay, so these guys get around. Where is their habitat? There's two. Okay, these must have been... It's interesting. I have not seen them, but there are two species of them. So I don't think it's freshly created. There's a pretty good wiki. There's two species distributed across the North Atlantic. So they're not even rare at all. I mean, there's no real reason why nobody saw them until recently. At least I certainly haven't. And I'm on all the nature subreddits, etc. Yeah, these are cool. But yeah, they went viral just recently. Seems a little bit late, but okay. I use Marley and her YouTube channel, The Energy Boutique, every time I can't sleep. Yeah, I kind of have the worst problem is I'm sleepy a lot. It's like the opposite problem. Although, weirdly, when I was really doing bad, I would sleep a lot but not get rested from it. At least now I do get some reasonable rest, and I have some reasonable, normal amounts of sleeping and then waking up, which is nice. And that is actually another thing. This week, I have managed to get my schedule back into normal, somewhat normal human hours, which is another interesting thing. I kind of straightened out my schedule, and then like 5 days later, I got sick. But it's gotten easier to be awake during the day. So I have a almost normal schedule now. I mean, it's kind of limited because I do this show, so I'm up till 2 a.m. So I need to at least be alert till about 2 or 3. And then if I get up at about 10, then I'm kind of in the normal human range. And then if I need to get up early, it's only a couple hours early. So I'm starting to like operate like a human again, which is nice. Somehow it just didn't seem as hard this time. Let's see, orange, lemon, lime rinds, H2O, cloves and cinnamon. Okay, are we talking about getting healthier? Yeah, I should eat an orange, huh? I find that just a bunch of vitamin C does help too. Yes, that's right. There's a time change. That might be screwing people up. You know, and that was weird because, like, I got sick and then my coworker got sick, like, right at the time change. So I don't know if it just becomes symbolic in a lot of people's minds and then things happen then. I think I get more airy-fairy every year. Okay, let's see. Where are we at here? Yeah, so, you know, when I get sick, though, I, like, take all this anti-inflams and I slap a little prednisone in there. And the weird thing is that I'll actually be in a good mood a lot of the times because I'm in a really good mood when I'm on prednisone. So it's like a weird thing. Like, I'll start out in a really bad mood because I'm sick, but then I'm like, all right, I'm sick enough to take some prednisone. And then I'm in a good mood. And even though in one way I should be tired, in another way I actually feel better than normal. So the whole thing is a weird dichotomy. You know, unfortunately, it causes problems if you're on prednisone all the time. So I try to use that stuff sparingly. All right. We got the puffin. No snow in Toronto, but Vancouver is dying in winter weather. Yeah, Vancouver, who's docked with the mainland. Have you heard of the prehensile-tailed porcupine? No. Let's check them out. It's interesting because I do sell porcupine quills too. Now I have noticed that the porcupines have gotten this big weird pink fuzzy nose that looks like a butt. And I'm trying to remember if it was on this prehensile tail guy that I saw that. Because I do remember seeing this butt nose before, and so maybe I just wasn't paying attention that he was prehensile-tailed. Now, I don't remember seeing the orange teeth on the butt-nosed guy. And it does look weirder than I remember. I don't remember a tail being this long. It's like a monkey porky. So I suspect that this guy has made some changes. Now, he's got little tiny shorty quills, but they're fat. So, you know, it used to be there was just the two porcupines. I've sold porcupine quills for like what, maybe getting on over 12 years now. And there used to just be the American porcupine and the African porcupine. And still today, people all the time contact me going, which one of these is it? Is it the American or the African? And I know exactly what they mean because they're asking a question from the old world when there was just two. And the American ones are really short, and they are very sharp, and they kind of hooky. I mean, they're the ones that hurt. And they just get on you. They're just like... And then they have like backward spines, so when you pull them out, it hurts. They're nasty. Now, these African ones are like longer, and then they just have an ordinary point. They don't like hook in. And so you just get poked like a normal poke instead of an extra nasty poke. And you actually kind of have to stab a little bit, or you can gently touch them and they don't bother you. And they're long and big. And they're thick, and so you can get one like this long and make a hair pick, and they're usually the preferred ones for most things. But now there's like these bajillion ones, and these are the kind that I would sell. I have noticed that there's been a lot of quills coming into the market of different lengths and sizes than I used to be able to get. Like, I can now get fat, short quills. Used to be that they weren't under like 4 inches ever, but now I'm getting like 2 to 3 inch ones, but they're fat, and they're not the North American ones that used to be the only short ones. So I think some of these guys might be why. If they're not endangered, then these might be like showing up in the marketplace. Yeah, so I just take the prednisone for the duration of the flu. It's weird because you would think that taking a immune blocker would make a virus worse. But I had a doctor prescribe this course a few years ago, and it works great. I actually get over the flu faster, and I feel pretty good while I have it. So... it's completely illogical, but it works. And it actually lets me stomp down the flu quickly. So it's weird. Don't ask me to explain it. I actually covered this years ago on the show. Like, why are they giving out prednisone for everything? It works in this timeline. And I'll swear you, my old timeline, it was like, you never give out prednisone if it's a virus, because for obvious reasons, right? It's one of the many things where I'm like, I don't get it. I don't think I'll ever get it. Maybe we'll come to a new paradigm. I feel like we're sliding over to a new health paradigm where it'll probably start to make sense, even though we're right in between now and it doesn't. Though they're so, let's see. What are these? We're looking at little mini chameleons. Nano chameleon. There's so many now. And, it used to be you weren't supposed to hold chameleons. You'd stress them out. They would die from the stress. Nano chameleons. I had a friend that had chameleons, and he used to talk about them all the time. There used to be only one kind, for starters. Bruchesia nana does not change colors. The species was discovered by herpetologist Frank Law and other German researchers in 2021 in the rainforest. Not arboreal, as it tends to inhabit the floor. All right. I don't think that's the one we just looked at, though. A new okay, here is maybe the nano. Nope. Well, see, now those guys look different than the one in here. These guys are all yellow, and they look like they are green, and they look like they have bigger feet than these guys. So there's a whole bunch of these. There's so many now of these creatures. It's like you can't keep up. It's like being on Fraggle Rock or something. Anytime you go around the corner, there's going to be a new weird creature. I woke up one day in LA and walked down the street and there was an earthquake that I thought I died in. After that, I noticed everything changed. Is that Northridge one? Because that one hit early morning. Let's see. I don't even think the sun was up yet. It was pretty confusing. I mean, knock on wood, I swear the earthquakes follow me, because there was like a big one up north, and then I lived there for that. And then I moved to LA, and then there was the Northridge. Right, I'm going to write that puffer down, just so I'll remember to put it in the explanation of the show later. Yeah, it definitely does seem that more people notice changes after some weird event in their life, after a sickness. You know, I do wonder, like, did I die in one timeline and now I'm over here? And other people are mourning me, but I'm not in that timeline. Or is it just sickness helps you, you know, purge things? That's another line of thought. It helps you change your energies, maybe. Yeah, things are changing so rapidly, though. It's definitely... Although I've definitely found that my attitude has improved lately about it. I feel like I'm getting more into the positive attitudes. That's always been a challenge for me, but I recognize the importance of it. I would like to know how my life became the Twilight Zone, but don't think I'll ever know. You know, I've come to suspect that life has always been the Twilight Zone. It's just that we were blind to it, and now we're not. We're starting to see. I've always been a late night person. Yeah, well, see, I used to stay up until midnight, and then I stayed up till 1 or 2, but usually not past that. But then the last few years, I just started staying up till 3. Then I was staying up till 4. Then I was going to bed at dawn. And I was having trouble staying awake during the day, too. It wasn't totally voluntary. So, I don't know. Lately, I just kind of got it in my head, like, look, if you really want to stay up during the day, you can stay up during the day. And I just kind of accepted it, and then it got easier. I don't know. It's a whole thing where I think I have to just burn through whatever my issues are that are stopping me from doing it. And it's not always that really obvious what it is in my head that's causing it. I don't know. I don't even want to say I know for sure, because I don't feel like I've totally sorted it. But I do feel like I made progress lately. And once I get it, let's try to think positive. Once I get it sorted out, I will clarify further. I'm wondering, though, if it's just kind of a bunch of little things, like if I always fixate on time issues and guilt about working late, and like I kind of feel like I was ragging myself no matter what I did. Like if I slept late, oh, look at you, you're lazy, you always sleep late. And then I would say that to myself every morning. And then it's like programming yourself. Okay, every day I say I'm lazy, I'm lazy, I'm lazy. So if you tell yourself you're lazy 500 times a day, maybe that just makes you more sure you're lazy. And when you're sure you're lazy, you act lazy. So my attitude was I was going to try to improve my attitude about myself. First of all, I did my work. It does not matter whether I do it in the day or night. So that doesn't make me lazy. It was a societal thing. Day or night, the work got done. So there's that. So I had to just cut myself some effing slack. You know, it's like I just had this habit, I think, of just ragging on myself all the time, you know? The dude gave me $2. Thank you. Appreciate that greatly. Every little bit helps. I've had my severe asthma extreme this week. 5 days. Well, that sucks. If you can try to figure out, sometimes you can sort that with food. If you do like a food diary, and see what you were eating before it happened. Because I found out mine by accident, so I can't take too much credit, but when I stopped eating wheat, I got rid of like 99.9% of my asthma. Now, a little bit of it'll try to sneak back on a flu sometimes if the germs get in there, but the prednisone pretty much kicks it to the curb, so. No problem. Yeah, I know. You know, when I first learned of the Mandela, it was very shocking, and it was very, like, I don't want to say obsessive because there was a reason. It wasn't like I would not say it was unhealthy to be completely preoccupied with something of this magnitude. But it was hard because people around you don't see it, or they're just like naysay it away, or a lot. Even if they see it, they don't want to talk about it. They just want to forget about it. And you want to talk about it because it is the most insane, crazy, mind-shattering thing that probably ever happened to you in your life in many cases. And yet you have nobody to talk to. You can't even talk to a therapist because they'll think you're crazy. So, you know, one of the things I've been really working on, and it is a challenge because I'm such a negative person, is to just become more and more aware of my own self-talk and how I program in my opinions by repeating them. You know, a lot of the stuff I tell myself is stuff that I was told in childhood and I picked up along the way, and then I kind of internalized it. And it's just amazing to me how often I'm constantly telling myself stuff about myself that in many cases isn't even fair, that I would not say that about another person, but yet I would be that mean to myself. And it serves no purpose, you know. If I'm going to be harsh on myself, at least make sure I deserve it. Like, if I really do something bad, okay, now is the time to say that was bad behavior. But, you know, all day long, I'm just ragging on myself. You didn't do this, you didn't do this, blah, you didn't finish enough stuff today. A lot of it, like 99% of it, is really just useless ragging. I am the worst nag in the world, and it is myself in my head that I nag. Like, if I ever saw anybody nag to another person like that, I'd be like, it's a horrible nagger. How could anybody tolerate all that nagging? But yet I do it to myself, you know, so that's one of the things I've really been trying to work on. Save the complaints for when they're really warranted, not the other 99% of the time. And I think then when you do that, when you finally do issue a complaint against yourself that you really do deserve it, you're going to be able to act on it a lot better because it will be more powerful, and you won't have wasted your guilt on 100 other things that didn't deserve guilt. Has anyone gotten the YouTube ad with Mr. T? Oh, is that the Skechers one? There's no T in Skechers. I did have that one on before. They made a whole commercial about basically a Mandela, popular Mandela, that Skechers used to have a T. At least last I checked. Let's just make sure, because you never know if it flip-flopped. Okay, Skechers should not have a T. Right, okay, it still does not have a T. Many of us remember having a T. When was that? Like, even maybe a year ago, half year ago, I was shocked to see the commercial where Mr. T comes on and says there's no T. I mean, I already knew it was a Mandela. It's just weird to see a commercial about it. I woke up, went through my day, and walked down the street, and it didn't feel like a dream. Black Mirror Lake. I have seen like a spate of just weird stuff showing up. All right, I've got a half hour. Black Mirror due to tannins. Everything's due to it's tannins, minerals, algaes, every color. Black Mirror. Now, Black Mirror was that TV show with the creepy the creepy plot lines. One of the things I have thought many times about watching, but yet haven't, has been episodes of Black Mirror. I guess because I'm in the last 15 years, I am less interested in negative shows. And I think it's been really good for me because I can so easily wallow in the negative. If someone gave me water that was black and said it was drinkable, I'd probably, okay, whatever. Nah. All right, so it's brownish on the beach. Still very interesting. I don't think I'd seen this is from 3 years ago now, of course. Square Lake. So it's Black Mirror and it's square. Taz. I'm assuming Taz is Tasmania? Square Lake, Taz. So it's square and a Black Mirror. The one time you'd expect a lake to be round because it's mirror-shaped and it's square. Square Lake, Black Mirror. Let's see if we can sort this out. Square Lake stained with tannin. All right, so it is Tasmania. I mean, I'm going to assume that's been there a bajillion years. It's the Windows 10 lake. All right. All right, Square Lake, Tasmania. Well, it doesn't appear to be new. Like, officially new. I would say it is new for us, but... Black Mirror Lake. So, yes, good find. Another example of the kind of stuff I've been seeing a lot of the last few weeks and a lot this week. And you know what? I'm not even looking for them either. Like, I have not looked for any Mandelas in weeks now. Kitty dander is the culprit for my asthma attacks. See, now that's so interesting because, yes, I had asthma and I had many allergies. And my allergies were heavily to cats and pollen and dust and exercise. And the exercise one actually really sucked. But, so exercise gave me asthma, and then cat, pollen, and dust would give me, like, well, cat and pollen would give me itchy eyes and sneezy and asthma. But here's the thing, okay? When I was not apparently allergic to wheat. I could eat it. I didn't have any gut problems that I could see. I did not seem to get any asthma right after I ate it, but unless I ate a whole ton, and it took me a while to figure that out because people eat wheat like 3 times a day in America generally. There's wheat in everything. So there's not a lot of times when you don't eat wheat. So what wheat was doing was it was doing something to my body that made me allergic to all this other stuff. So I would get asthma, not directly from the wheat as much as it would make it so I was prone to asthma. So I stopped being allergic to everything when I got rid of my asthma and by not eating wheat. So now I have a cat and 0 allergies to my little kitty. I can do something I never could do for decades, which is I can stuff my face right in his fur. I can kiss him on the head. I can do any of that stuff. No allergy. That was never the case. Even if he scratches me, the scratches don't swell. Pollen raining down, no problem. So when you say it's from the dander, I don't trust it because I was told that by the doctor. You have an allergy to cats, you have an allergy to pollen, and it's genetic and you're screwed and you'll always have it for the rest of your life. Of course, the doctors always say that. And I believed them until it all magically went away. And I know it's the wheat because if I eat more of it, like if I eat wheat 3 days in a row, I can feel it all coming back. I'll start sneezing. My eyes will start running. I'll start to feel wheezy. So I'm right now, I can eat a couple bites of wheat here and there. I just got to leave a lot of space between. It's for sure the wheat. The wheat was doing something to my system that was throwing the balance off. So it's not a lie that cat dander caused it. It's just that it was cat dander plus wheat that was causing it. Plus my own genetics, I'm sure. Those three. You can get rid of the cat and it would abate, but I still had a high, like, reactivity, right? So that wasn't the perfect thing. I don't have the ability to change my genetics that easily as far as I know. So the wheat was the thing I could wipe out and fix everything. So it was the wheat. It's just interesting. It's not that simple, and they don't tell you that. Now, it may not be wheat for everybody, but this is why I say keep a food record, because I don't think it's natural that we're all sick all the time. You know, I have bad skin, I got asthma, I'm tired all the time. I'm making progress on it, but this is just not natural, and I think, you know, there are routes out of this. I have made some progress. Haven't got the whole thing. But I'm trying to program it in my head that I will, and that has been helpful. Yeah, so I don't think it's natural to be allergic to cat hair. That's the thing. I think there's some other thing that is causing the immune system imbalance, inflammation, all that stuff. And when the immune system is out of balance, then it does not react in a normal way. That's my theory, but you know what? I like that theory because it works to get you out of it. A lot of people have figured out what the issues were and got out of it. Doctors won't tell you this stuff, though, because they're not told these things. Yeah, see, exactly. Cat lick fur, blah, blah. I had all that, all of it. And then it was gone. Red River in Russia. I think I had this one on the other day. Mystery, Mystery Pollute was about 7 years ago when I first learned of the Mandela, and I started to see these red rivers, and it was always blamed on a pollutant. But even then I was suspicious because it's not like pollution is new. In many ways, we probably have less of it now officially in the old days when there were no regulations. Yet I never heard of a blood red river. And like, what kind of pollution like turns it blood red? Like miles and miles and miles of river. You don't even see where the plume starts. It's just, like I think in the old days you'd say, look, it was blue here and now it's red. And then towards the end, shouldn't it kind of, dilute out and become less and less red? But no, you just see these images. It's red all the way across. We don't even know you don't know what kind of pollution it is. So I don't know. I was suspicious of these for a long time, these blood red ones. And then now we have that weird blood falls in Antarctica. They say it's iron deposits and stuff. So DNA has a staple-shaped thing that wasn't there in my old world before. DNA shape. Let's just look at these suckers. Now, I think I covered a while ago that there's now a third strand on some DNA, which I'm quite positive did not exist in my old timeline. It was a helix with two sides before. So I do remember those cross pieces for me. They didn't used to show them before, but that was basically they are what holds the sides together, basically. So if that's what you mean by staple shape. Now, it's interesting, these images, because I don't remember seeing them that tightly packed in the past. DNA, third strand. I'm just going to look that up. I haven't checked this in a while. Third strand of DNA. It looks like it's still there. Triple-stranded DNA. So last time I checked it, they would say certain parts of the body would sometimes have a triple strand. Triple strand, also known as HDNA or triplex DNA. That's the term I remember, triplex. Hogstein base pairing? What the heck? Intermolecular and intramolecular interactions. The third strand can be from a neighboring chromosome or a triplex forming oligonucleotide. DNA is formed from a duplex with homopurine and homopyrimidine strands. Okay, I don't even know. I think I read this last time and was super confused too. Peptic nucleic acids are synthetic oligonucleotides that reside. Blah, blah. Has been implicated in the regulation of several genes. HDNA has the ability to regulate gene expression. So I'm like reading it. I still don't get it. Genetic instability. Triple-stranded DNA were common hypothesis in the 1950s. Let's see. Triple-stranded DNA was predicted to be composed of one polypurine and two polypyrimidine strands. It was thought to occur in only one in vivo biological process as an intermediate product during the action of E. coli. Early models predicted the formation of blah. Shortly after, triple helices composed of one pyrimide and two purine strands were predicted. The discovery of HDNA stretches in supercoiled plasmids piqued modern interest. It was soon found. Interesting. It's not super clear, even if this is in humans. I'm going to have to I have to totally read this. But last time I checked this, there was definitely parts in the body where they said that there is occasionally triple-stranded DNA. So I'm not sure if it's still there now, but I know I read it, 6, 8, 10 months ago. This is Iceland Black Mirror Lake. Okay, so not Taz. Alright, let's do the magic thingy. Boink. Alright, now I'm going to make a guess that this is super shallow. And that's why they're able to stand on there. You can see, here, I think, is areas of sandbars. I'm going to bet that this is we have seen some black sand beaches showing up, so I guess they're just going to say it's some kind of really dark mineral. And I think it's really shallow here, so that's why she's able to stand on it. Literally inches, perhaps. Interesting. I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit. Alright, so it's not letting me jump ahead, so I don't want to get a copyright, so I'm going to call it a day on that one. Walking on Black Mirrors, beautiful cinematography. Cool. Black Mirror. See, everything that shows up on TV, it shows up in the world now. It's crazy. I think everything that goes viral will show up here in some form. All of this immigration stuff, people coming over the border. It's just, I've been hearing a certain political side obsessed with it for a couple years, and the evidence was kind of weak for a long time. I'm like, I don't know why they're so obsessed with it exactly. And now it's here. I mean, like, it's craziness. And there's all this verification. But I really have to wonder how much just the obsession with it made it in the reality, you know. So my attitude is, you know, we'll handle it. It'll work out. That's what I want to program in. And it's interesting also because just today they were talking about how, and I think this may happen sooner than predicted, that the population is rapidly slowing down as far as population replacement. For instance, in the United States, we already do not have, like, two adults are not having 2 children. So the population replacement is not there. And the only reason we don't drop in population is because of immigration. But imagine if that slows down a lot. And I think it might, because kids just don't, very few kids now want to have children. I mean, it's expensive, it's difficult, it's tiring. It takes a lot of altruism that I think a lot of us don't have anymore. They're looking at the rates of slowdown, and they're saying if it stays at this rate, then in 2080, you know, we'll be screwed. But I don't think it's going to stay at this rate. I think it's going to drop more sharply. And we may be glad for all that immigration by then, because if the gross domestic product drops too fast, there won't be people to help the older people. It'll cause a lot of problems. So, it may actually work out. And I do like to stay on the positive side. And, we can't do anything about it, so I'm just going to have to deal. Red River. Okay, we have Red River. I have allergy to dust and perfume, tonic saline mix. Oh, interesting. So, I do wonder sometimes, though, how much just, like, belief is enough. Like, I'm believing I'm fixing it, and I have to find something I can believe in to fix it. And even if I don't find the thing I believe in, if I just want it enough and I point my head that way, maybe that is enough for it to show up. Whatever it is I need to do to fix this problem just needs to show itself. Maybe I wouldn't even be able to figure it out. And I've had that happen where it just falls in my lap. When I just, whatever it is that I was clinging to that was causing the problem, I have to let go. And figuring that out is not always that easy. Otherwise, we'd all just do it, right? But the more I can figure out my issues, it definitely seems like the more I can let go. My personal feeling now is that health is our natural state. And in order to get there, you just have to figure out what is blocking it. You just have to remove the block. You don't actually have to obtain health. You just have to stop blocking health. And it's I think if you look at it that way, it's a more successful way to problem solve. And in the end, isn't that what's important? Does it work? Does it work? When I was first going into this, I'm like, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it's worth a shot because it doesn't really hurt anything to be more positive. And we'll see if it works. It does seem like it works. Not that it's totally easy all the time, because there's so many things, at least for myself, I have many onion layers that I had to continually delve through. But how can we humans have so many genetic diseases and allergies and have survived? Almost like we are not native to this place. Okay, that is definitely one theory, and it is logical. I do suspect, though, that we were a lot healthier, but we're eating a bunch of crap. We got a lot of stress, got a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of chemicals, and those things might be contributing. They call it genetics, but really most of this stuff is genetics interacting with environment. And if environment was different, these genetics might have been really well tuned to our original environment. We might have been really healthy. But I mean, look at the garbage we're eating. It is nothing even like 100 years ago that we ate. I mean, thousands of years we ate certain kinds of foods. The Red River is the sign of the end times. So, you know, I saw the Red Rivers in like 7 years ago too. So it brings up a lot of questions. Well, what is the end times? Like, it's not the end. It's a big change. So again, what happens may actually depend on our beliefs on what happens. What are our beliefs in apocalypse? Our beliefs in rapture? What does it mean for us? We may be programming that storyline as well. Oh, yeah, sorry, Vivian. You know, there was the time change for us this last weekend, so it screwed up things. And I had actually forgot about that, too. I mean, nowadays, everything is electronic and it just changes. Like, my computer changed, my phone changed. Everything was changed when I woke up like that. And ironically, my alarm clock that I never use, but just to see the time, I don't use the alarm part. The battery died, so I didn't even have that to look at. So I kind of forget about it because it's all, it used to be, I got to go around, change all these clocks. Don't forget. Now it's all like, boom, done. I'm feeling 2030 is the end, but who knows? I don't think it's the end. Like, I don't think the humanity is going to wipe off the face of the earth. And I don't actually expect a sudden boom, 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 boom thing. I think things are just going to ramp. And there's going to be weirder and weirder. You get used to that. It gets weirder. I don't even think I can imagine all the weird we'll see. Certainly there's stuff we see all the time, like, I would have never thought of that. And I think it'll be a series of jumps so that we can do the adaptation. Because that's what it's been this whole time. If you really look at it, it's a series of little jumps. I definitely feel like there's times where I feel like that was a big jump or a big shift. Like, I've rotated pretty, I've rotated more than I would have expected in a short period of time, attitude-wise, health-wise, whatever. But still, it's not like everything just totally changed and I'm a whole new world just like that. And I don't think that will happen. Could be wrong. Who the heck knows? I mean, maybe if enough people believe it'll happen, maybe it will. But I don't think we're deeply wanting that rapid a change. I think it's too hard for humanity in general, and that and it's weird because I do find that I am, it's kind of like the devil is better than the unknown a lot of times. Like, the unknown is fearful, and even if you think it might be good, you kind of cling to your old ways, and some of them are just negative. So I think that might be why it has to be in bits. You got to let go bit by bit. I was listening to someone yesterday, and he was saying the jab was an attempt to get rid of the bad genes and correct the pollution. I don't know. It just seems like people are getting sick and dying, and death rates are up. And so what? Like, only bad genes die from it? I don't know. Some actual photos of DNA. All right, that's an interesting concept. Now, I know a long time ago I saw these as they did the crick thing. Photos. Damn, I'm trying to remember. I remember seeing them, but do I remember what was in them long ago? And actually, I do remember something like that, but my mind is pretty fuzzy on when I don't remember seeing this electron microscope for the first time. Now that I really think of it, it is interesting that we really didn't have many images of it this whole time. This is from 2012. Of course it is. Mighty convenient that there weren't many images of it. Real images. I mean, it's literally like the same one over and over again. Did we not take any other photos since then? I mean, it's not like electron microscopes were just invented. Ugh. So that makes it easy for it to change if we never saw it to start with. You know, you'd think so many people would have taken these images. But, no. You know, I kind of have to say, DNA mirror mini circles supercoil in order to form an ever-changing array of odd shapes. So I guess those are actual images. I have not seen those. Let's see when that showed up. Yeah, just 2021, huh? The new images. No, it doesn't. That looks still computer generated, doesn't it? That looks more realistic. Yeah, actually, I have to say, I now that I really think about it, I'm pretty clueless on what they actually look like. March of 2016, all of the geography changed. For me, it's been sneaking along. Change. Oh, this area is a little bigger. This is a little wider. This is a little over here, bit by bit. So yeah, the microwave, I think we screwed up our time on the microwave a long time ago and gave up using it. Everybody's always poking on it, and it just was never the right time. If everyone would stop agreeing to change their clocks, the whole time change BS would go away. Yeah, I really suspect that it is actually part of what's hiding some of the geology changes and stuff, too. Everybody's got their time scrambled around, and then this one changes at a different time. The last time change, gosh, I can't believe it's been that long already, but it seemed like just yesterday that the last time change before this one, there was before that last time change, like, was it 6 months ago or something? A bunch of people were 3 hours ahead of me on the East Coast, and now 2 of them are only 2 hours ahead of me. Now, the whole country shifts time at the same time, so they should have stayed 3 hours. So on that shift, there was also a change in geography, and there was a change in where the time zone demarcates. So that although, and I'm like, but they do remember shifting by an hour, and I shifted by an hour, yet somehow we all shifted by an hour, but they got an hour closer to me. So explain that one any conventional way. And then because there was a time shift there, I almost didn't see it because I was like, oh, well, yeah, because of the time shift, because the time zone changed, that's why it changed. They're like, yeah, they had to say to me, look, dum-dum. Of course, they were nicer than that. We shifted too. It's not like only California shifted. So they should still have been 3 hours apart. So it kind of hid that, though. I naysayed my own self. I Mandela-splained my own self, but I got called out on it, luckily. Anybody know where this newly found top of statue belongs to? Archaeologists find missing top half of Ramses II. So, that whole area is like totally ridiculously different for me. I don't even want to go there. I mean, like, at least half the structures didn't even exist for me. Probably I didn't have the bottom half of that. Uncovered head matched lower section discovered in 1930. I mean, there's these giant, these huge, like, statues of these characters didn't even exist for me. They had pillars with carvings on them, but I did not have, like, these 20, 30-foot statues of complete pharaohs and stuff that now have always been there. And there's more of them all the time. All right, so Shari found some DNA. If we don't have real images, they can say anything they want. Yeah. But, you know, even if they give you an image, do you know if it's real? I mean, you know, that's the thing. They can still say anything they want. Which makes me think it might be a Mandela, though, because if you don't have images, then they can magically change. All right. But is that even a real image, this? Her team identified a dye which allowed them to view chromatin structures inside the nucleus of human cells. Chromatin structures. And paint them with a metal alloy. I've not even really heard of chromatin structures. The images allow them to move through the dense structure of chromatins. See, I don't really see where they're saying this is an actual image of them, though. It looks computer generated to me. Southern California was way wider. Yeah, so California used to come down fairly straight, and now it's like sucked in on the bottom. I've definitely seen the spaces between locations get smaller. You can get there faster. Even though time moves faster now, I still get there faster according to the official clock. And it definitely seems way faster, too. I mean, there's places where I used to be, it just kind of seemed like a bit of an ordeal to get there. And now it's like, boop, I'm there. In fact, I was driving past stuff because I felt like I should drive a lot longer. DNA, open access. Wait, did I click on that one or is that the same? Yeah, that's the same one. Yeah, time zones are all over. We've had that one on a lot of times. The 78, which feeds in my direction, also, the angles have shifted a lot. There's a lot of things. Oh my God, the roads in this town. I mean, there's roads that used to be like this, and now they're like... And it's just even weird looking down that road, and then the parking lot lines got all weird. I'm going to get a little bit more water because it keeps my throat clear. With this all yapping. Jackie is in. Welcome. Society would function better with less people. I know, like, so many narratives were told, and I don't really know if that's true or not. I do think it seems to be the direction we're heading, but I just don't trust any narratives I've been told. Just gonna eat a vitamin C. The problem with all these archaeological finds is we don't know if they're real or not. Very true. And I've definitely looked at a lot of the late ones lately. Everything looks so fake. I mean, a lot of it just looks like it's mud brick or something. Some people that live by the coast in San Diego said now they all of a sudden they can see the coast when they didn't used to be able to from the property. It does not surprise me. I do remember years ago, a bunch of people in LA were saying suddenly they could see the Sierras from their yard when they used to not be able to. And I do also remember I used to drive north on the 15, and there was a point where I suddenly realized I could see like another mountain range. I used to just see one, but then I could see another one behind that one. I'm like, what? So, but maybe because stuff's getting tighter together. I think a lot of us have just talked about there just seems to be less people around, you know? Like, I'll go out at, like 6 and on a Sunday used to still be reasonably busy, and it's almost like a ghost town now. And it's like, well, everybody's staying in for COVID. I don't know anybody who's staying in for COVID anymore. In fact, I think there's less people out now than the second lockdown when we were supposed to be staying home. And I feel like most people aren't that worried about it anymore. Certainly less now than they were in the second lockdown. Okay, so when you say they can see the coast, so they're like what, like a mile from the coast and now they can see the beach? Is that what you mean? Like maybe they got higher and they got a better angle, or like there's less stuff between them and the beach? Some people say they see the same person walk past twice in a short amount of time. I have not noticed that, but I'm not really good at noticing appearance. I have a number of times really felt like someone sort of showed up out of nowhere, though. Like, I have this big long street. It's you can pretty much see down it. It's reasonably straight. There's not bushes really near the road, so there's a pretty good view. And there's not like a sidewalk, so people tend to walk on the edge of the road instead of the non-existent sidewalk. And I've definitely looked up and down the street and then pulled out, you know, half a car length, and then suddenly was there walking slowly. I'm like, you just dropped like 2 blocks in a millisecond or something? That has happened a few times. And I'm like, is there some way they were just in my blind spot? I'm like, no, but I looked there. That explains that 5 miles of undeveloped prairie on the... Oh, okay. So you're saying there's just a bunch of... There is definitely, and has been a long time for me, a bunch of just like... Was that grassy swamp area? Maybe because the state was always going to shrink, you needed to have like the garbage areas that you could delete out later. I don't know. There's so many cool stuff on X showing Earth rotating. Let's see what we got here. But have you seen it? Oh, yeah, I've seen these. I mean, we had them before, but now we have more. There's definitely... You know, that giant rift of hell looking like of hell up in the sky at night, which is super creepy. It definitely adds a whole nother level to these rotation things. I swear it's like more colorful and brighter all the time. I don't think that our camera skills have changed that much in the last 2 years, but yet there it is. Historian goes around reading historical markers and finds a vast majority are poppycock. Yeah, but was it always that way? Or is that just another way that, you know, the old history never existed? Yet it did. It did for some of us, and then it was gone. And one way to change everything in the future, perhaps, is you have to change the past. Because, so say I want to say... Tomorrow, I want to get $1 million. So something must have, in order for that to happen, I would need the way the reality seems to work, there needs to be a chain of causality that can be traced, of parent causality. So in order for me to get $1 million tomorrow, something years ago might have had to change. Somebody had to do an investment or something, and then it all comes to fruition tomorrow. So if we make our future in our mind, maybe it's us that changes the past. I want this future where there's more automation, cheaper housing, blah, blah, blah. What has to happen 5 years ago to get to there? So maybe that's why the past changes, because we are sculpting our future, and the only way to get to that future is to have a different chain of causality. So when they go, oh, it turns out that all of this research was actually all bad and wrong, maybe that's part of it. And it, you know, we thought all this time that this happened, but it never did. Maybe that's all just like covering the change in history. Okay, what is an example of what has changed in California? All right, so I don't know Fresno, but for me, Sacramento was in the middle of the state. It wasn't up north. And that area up there by the Bear area was called the Northern California because it was in the effing north. It was really close to the top of the state. Now it is still called Northern California, but it's actually kind of Central California. So like this huge chunk of the top that is really half Central California and half North California is called North California. It's illogical. It used to make sense, but now it doesn't. Most of the stuff up past San Francisco didn't exist for me. And let's see, what else? Yeah, Sacramento wasn't all over there by San Francisco. Salton Sea got way bigger, like way bigger. It has a whole different history. Well, not a whole different, but it used to be totally artificial by an accident from an agricultural accident. Now it was always there, but the agricultural accident just added more water. So the argument used to be let it die because it's not natural. Anyway, now we got to save it because it is natural and we should save it. So the narrative is shifted because the past has shifted. And it's been there the whole time for like hundreds of years. Okay, so you're saying there's no undeveloped land on the way to San Diego? Is that the story now? Because there definitely was undeveloped land on the way to San Diego. Like a lot of it. It has been quite some time since I've driven that road because I don't live in LA anymore. Vitamin C is tasty. You know, I do get the flavored like little tabs too, because I find that when I get those flavored tabs, I'm very good about taking them because it's much more fun to chomp on a little flavored tab than it is to swallow a pill. The dude gave me another $1. Thank you. All right, let's check out this. Mystery as fifth monolith shaped like giant Toblerone appears on remote Welsh hilltop. Ah, we're going to that again, are we? How is this new? March 11th. Yes, it is. Ah. I mean, it's totally possible that somebody just made these and stuck them out there. It's not that hard, but it's still bizarre. This one looks... I wonder if this one looks like a little bigger than the last one. Huh. So, copycat, sign of the times, alien invasion, chocolate bar, I don't know. It's a little more fun than when all those weird clowns showed up years ago, though. 5 in one week. That is interesting, because usually one will show, and then it'll get some attention, then a couple weeks later there'll be another one. Eva remembers Los Angeles on the beach. I do remember that, at least since the 90s, because I lived there and I'd go to the beach. But, you know, Mandelas do vary. Right there is a swampy, grassy, and right there's a bunch of fog. You know, one thing about the fog that I really noticed this year is, so we would get fog before, but it went way up high. So it was like a big fat cloud sitting on you. You just see fog all the way up. But now, a lot of times I just see it it's literally like just a few feet on the ground, like this weird creeping mist. And I've seen a lot of that this year. In the mornings, it burns off from the top, but not the bottom or something. I've never seen that. The one exception, and I don't know if I'm responsible for it or I voted for this weird fog, but years ago, I did notice one year that there was a weird thing that would happen on my road, which is that if it rained and the pavement was kind of hot, like it was hot all day and then rain came, the water would hit the pavement and the fog would build. And this was the creeping mist. And my road had a downslope, and it would form and then kind of roll down that road. And it was so cool. It was creepy. It was weird, but it was cool. And it happened a couple times a year, and I always liked to see it. And I saw that for years. I'm like, this is cool. This is cool. Every time it happens, it's cool. And then I stopped seeing it. I have not seen it for like 45 years now. But we got this weird fog everywhere else now. Not quite as bizarre as the one on the road, but also, the whole angle of my road and everything has changed, so maybe that's part of why it's not doing it anymore. Yeah, I do got to cover that barrel eye fish if I catch up with you guys. So it's not an angler fish. That thing on the front on the thumbnail is a barrel fish. But there is something that's changed on it. So yeah, Cali for me also used to take almost the whole West Coast. And we had like a sliver of Washington on the top, but not a lot of it. But now there's 2 states on top of us. California used to be the largest landmass state in the country, followed by Texas. But right now, I know that Alaska is number 1. Alaska got huge, which is part of it. I believe Texas is number 2, and then we're number 3. We used to be number 1. So we were number 1 in landmass for this out of the 50 states, and we were number 1 in population. And I grew up here. And, me and Cali and Texas, we always had this kind of, used to be fairly friendly rivalry. But I was like, neener, we're bigger. Always, we're bigger in population and we're bigger in landmass. Ha. Poor Texas, you lose. But it's just not that anymore at all. We still win in population, but we don't live in landmass. Texas wins. And also Alaska. So yeah, it was wider and it was taller because it sucked up most of. Now, I'm not sure how much we shrank or how much the whole world shrank, but we are definitely smaller compared to other states. We did not used to get tornadoes. We now have got them like 2 years in a row, and we get them. We did not used to get hurricanes, and now apparently hurricanes can come here. So I'm looking at the drainage canals in my street and in my town, and they're bigger than they used to be and always have been. And so I'm thinking we're going to be getting more water. California was bigger in landmass, even above Texas. Yes. And above Alaska. Maybe the fog is gobbling up whole towns. But I kind of feel the reverse. Towns are showing up that I don't remember. Now, streets and stuff are changing and buildings are disappearing out of there. I've talked before about this really ugly restaurant that used to have it has a volcano in it. It's ugly. There's a design of a volcano. It was on a big long street, and that street, like, the streets are curving around it and all the buildings around it are just disappearing. And it is now the only building on that street. That street had like 6 or 7 buildings on it. I have a vague remembrance of them being like some kind of business offices, you know, those shiny silver things full of like, who knows what's in them kind of things. And you'd go along and you'd go past some of it, and finally you'd find the restaurant. Now, we would occasionally eat at this restaurant like once a year because it was open on Christmas, and not much else was. The food is a little pricey. It's not bad, but you know, for the price, it was just one of those, well, those people will be open. So we go there like once a year, but the thing is, we drive by it all the time. There is no way it was the only one on the street. Just crazy town. So that's disappeared. But yet there's towns, areas, names. I'm like, that wasn't there before. For me, it was the opposite. Texas was the biggest state in size, but I think Cali had the bigger population. Okay. Well, we still have the bigger population. You are the bigger state in size, except for Alaska. Are you saying there were no Baja? Yeah, Cali cities have shifted around. They're in the same general order to me, but Sacramento has really changed. You know, I used to always say Sacramento is a little, well, it's not little, but it's kind of a stinky town. I mean, at least it has a reputation for just being this stinky pit town, okay? So I was like, why is Sacramento the capital? But I'm like, but it is right in the middle of the state. So I was like, that makes sense. It's right in the middle of the state. Pick something in the middle. That's the only good about it. I mean, I don't know if I'm being too harsh. I really don't know a lot about Sacramento, but it just always had this reputation of being like, eh. How can we have all different memories? I know. That's why it's once upon a timeline. I don't get it. I'm not even sure what I mean when I say a timeline, but we all have a different line of memories. There's commonalities, but each shift, the commonalities are less. So different timelines, memory lines. I don't know. I want to know too. I do, but you know, maybe it's all just a dream, and that's why we're co-dreaming it together. But you know, maybe I look at a tree and I see blue flowers, and you look at the same tree and you see red flowers, and we would never know that we're seeing something different unless we discuss it. What is Baja California? Yeah, there's been a lot of changes on that. So I do remember there always being a Baja, but that stick of land, that peninsula, has gotten hugely long. It's like longer than Florida, and then little spikes are sticking out of it. It's been changing for years now. It was Baja California. Is it not Baja California anymore? It's still Baja California, isn't it? Baja California. So it was Baja California, but I think they added like more parts to it. Baja Fresh. There's a, what is there? No, there's still Baja California. Is a state in Mexico. Yeah, that would be crazy town if it wasn't. Oh, okay. I think I get it. So that's Baja California. Then this must be Baja California del Sur. So before it was just Baja California, but it's been longer. So it got split in half and they added del Sur. I don't know, the universe, whoever's doing this stuff. This big old stick thing here just keeps sticking out more and more. It's got all these islands growing in here. Looks like some weird thing going on in here. I don't know what is all that. All right, so yeah, it was just Baja California. There was no Baja del Sur. Good find. So for me, there was like a little peninsula nub, but now it's like, it's just really long. It's been just like growing and growing. We would never know what someone else is seeing. Yeah, see, even the words they say could be phrased. Like if I said blue, I don't know what your ears hear. Maybe in your ears heard red, even though I thought I said blue. I mean, I don't know if this is the case, but I can't really trust anything anymore. Catalina Islands. Yeah, there was one island called Catalina. No islands. And it was almost nothing on it. And now it was like literally I was thinking about going there, and then I researched it and there was like nothing but a bunch of old hills, and I'm like, nah, I'm not taking the boat out there for like nothing. But there's all this cool stuff on it now and has been for decades and decades. So yeah, Catalina's changed a lot. Baja was... A lot of people do remember Baja California as being part of California. I am not sure. I have not lived here my whole life. I had that weird memory in my head, but I just don't know if I really ever verified it. Yeah, it is kind of like Costa Rica. I'm pretty sure Costa Rica was an island. I know I thought it was, but it's not one I can say like 110%. Do the populations that show up in these new places have different memories to us? You know I've never met anybody from these places like that I really have, like I really know they're a real person. So I always wonder, I'm like, is it just, matrix generated hologram people, or if they're really people? Well, so they say that there's all the weird Florida man stories because Florida allows complete access to its criminal record, whereas none of the other states do. So all the media is always checking their records to see what wacky stuff they can use for, articles, whereas they can't do that with all the other 49 states. So that's the story. I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of wacky people in California, but media does not have access to the police records. We're not in Kansas anymore. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's just cover this barrel eye thing. So I've had these on before, but something has changed. Let's see, who was it? So, Jackie, you were saying that you thought the mouth was different. It might poke out a little bit more, but I wouldn't swear to it. But when I looked at them, let me open this in a bigger image here. I thought that the eyes looked a little different. I kind of have it in the back of my head, and again, this is not what I'm going to swear on. I thought they were kind of a reddish burgundy color for starters. So in case anybody's confused, this is a fish that for me showed up like 7 years ago for a lot of people. And it has a see-through head. And that's why I was like, what in the hell? It's got a see-through head. And so these spots here are not its real eyes. They look like eyes, but they're not. Its real eyes are down inside its head, protected, and then they can see out by the fact that his head is clear, which is totally insane. And there's a lot of these creatures now, but when this barrel eye showed up for me, there weren't a million see-through creatures. So this was extra crazy. And I did feature it on one of the thumbnails way back, I'm pretty sure. But what changed now is I went to check on it for Jackie because she was saying she thought it changed. There's one other thing I'm just noticing. The tail, if their tails are white now, I don't remember they're having a white tail. Okay, I remember these real eyes in here being kind of burgundy. I won't swear on that one, but I thought they were. But then today, I know that there's something that changed for sure. And what that was is the eyes glow now. So I'm like, how can you both emit light and see? Like, wouldn't that confuse your eyes if light was coming out and then it's reflecting back in? And like, how would you figure that out? So this is an actual image of these beryl eyes at night. Their eyes glow. Now, I don't remember their eyes being all round like that so that they're perfect glowing orbs, but this thing just got a whole new level of crazy. It was already see-through in the head with magic floating eyes inside, but now, can you get any more? It has to be the eyes. It couldn't be like the fins or nothing. It's got to be maximum weird. And the eyes, I did notice that when I looked today, the eyes just, something about the shape. I think they were kind of like half circles before, and now looks like almost they're complete circles or something. They're bigger and they glow. I mean, this is supposed to be a real photo. This is not, like a graphic image to be silly. So, yeah, insanity. And I had to use this one because it's the most crazy of thumbnails. And so, if you type in beryl eye now, even if you don't have glows, take that out. And you also see, at least I did when I looked earlier, there was like superhero images that look like a beryl eye with glowing eyes. Of course, now it's not there. But I was seeing. So one of the things that I kind of noticed when I was looking today is that it looks like it's got a weird character, because it almost looks like this is the eye and these are weird eyebrows, or there's more and then you see more stuff back here. It looks like the tail is indeed white. So there's just kind of even more character in the face than there was before. Actually, now, Jackie, now that you mention it, this little nub here really makes it look like it has a nose and a mouth from this angle too. So it's getting like a whole Groucho Marx face or something look to it. I'm also a little suspicious on the fins now that I really look at it. Like, is there like an extra set of fins in here? The fins look a little different. Like, this one looks bigger. So, yeah, anyway, I don't know. I just was, like, tripping, basically, to see that they glow. Like, they weren't weird enough already. I mean, we do have these really weird anglerfish, but, which have continued to get weirder and weirder. Yeah, see, Vivian, you remember that. They're so cool looking, though. Yes, the pectoral fins look bigger. It's actually a fish with a city of tiny people living in it. Yeah, that would be funny. A fish with an aquarium for a head. I know. I know. It's crazy. We live in times where fish have risen out of the sea and run across the land, and land creatures live in the sea, and the animals are weirder than anything than on Star Wars. Look at some of the monkeys now. It's crazy town. Snow monkeys. Yep. I know. I just can't get over that it just so happens to look absolutely as weird as humanly possible for a human to think something up. I have to say, I don't think I had the imagination to think up something this crazy. Maybe deep inside me I do, but my normal conscious mind, nope. I don't think so. Maybe I had to take some, like, magic mushrooms or something. Okay, Black Mirror. Crazy you. Alright, so some time ago, I did cover a little bit of all these weird palm islands on Dubai. And one thing I did say is, let's see if anything gets put on the world layout in Dubai. And now there has been since 2012. One of the islands has been settled since like 2012. And a bunch of other ones have been worked on for years now. All right, here's the different. So this is Jumeirah, I think it's called. And I forgot the name of this one, but this one. So when I first saw it, this one was not done. It just was sand piles. And it had been abandoned in 2008. And then the next thing you know, half of them were full. And then had been since 2008, and then they were all full, had been since 2008, and then now they got like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and now this is the one that for a while was abandoned in 2008, and then now it's like mostly kind of, well, no, it's, you know, actually I think this one might have been further along last time I looked. There's a little bit of stuff going on in there, but not a lot. But this one, the world, which is supposed to be shaped like the world, did not have any construction on it, and now it does. It has this one, and I think I showed these ones are been worked on for years. Now, it's only been like 6 months since I looked at it, so these should have showed. I went to the wiki to get the most update info, and there was nothing on there. All right, so now there's even talk of this thing called the universe that they said they were going to build but abandon. But I have a feeling that thing might show too. And what'll happen is the world will get all filled, and then they'll say, oh, but the universe was abandoned. And that'll be the spots of land and stuff. So that it's just growing. All right, so there's the shape there. Open this one and new one. So, oh, there we go. There's the world, Jumeirah. I forgot the name of this one. I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't think I remember it looking like that last time I looked. This is another thing that seems to be, I mean, these have all been here for years, but I don't remember seeing that with this big, I don't know, what's this big cutout in here? So who was it? Somebody was saying they don't remember seeing that big building out in the water. And I'm like, well, which one? Because there's a whole packload of them that weren't there like 5 years ago. And who was saying that? Oh, is that Jackie again? I didn't write it down. I apologize. So that changed. This is, all right, what else we got? Jeez, I only have 20 minutes left. I gotta get moving here. Got that, we got that. Oh, okay. Australia. I don't remember you having wild horses. You have a whole word for them. Like, you've heard of, like, the wild dogs that naturalized and became their own species, and they're called gindos. But did you know that there's a whole species of horses that did the same thing? They've been there for hundreds of years, and they naturalized and became their own species, and they're called brumbies. These are so cool. I don't know why horses are just showing up everywhere, but so yeah, you got your own horse breed now. All the horses for me have longer tails than they used to. But some of them are next level long. Like, now they're so long that the horse could step on them. Explain to me how that makes any sense. Even this wild Brumby here has a long one, and this is just supposed to be a... I mean, look at how long that tail is, and this is not a fancy horse. It's just a wild horse out in Australia that didn't used to exist. I also noticed the Mustangs have definitely upgraded their look when I was looking at. I used to look at them and they were always all brown and kind of, yeah, and they were sort of, I don't know, not really that pleasant shaped. I mean, they're still horses, so they're awesome, but so lately I started seeing these nicer looking Mustangs. And like, oh, we're training this Mustang. And I'm like, since when did they look that nice? There's a lot of gray ones. There's like dapple ones. Their shapes are better. So, you know, this is another thing where I always wonder, like, okay, when I saw a picture of a Mustang and I looked, did I see the same kind of Mustang as when somebody else looked at that same image? With, you know, did I see all brown, sort of poorly formed ones, but they saw a black one, a gray dapple, a brown one, and long tails? I don't know, but it does seem like the Mustangs have upgraded. They used to just, and a lot of horses that used to just be brown for me. I was kind of talking about this to some other people. The horses at my rescue have been changing color. They used to all like kind of a little darker than this, solid color. Their manes, their feet, everything was the same brown, like a milk chocolate, like a light milk chocolate. But now, like more than half of the brown ones, which I used to have trouble telling them apart because they all were just the same exact brown color. A bunch of them have turned like black feet, black mane with brown coat, or they've darkened through the body and they look kind of like this burnished, singed coloration. And I mean, like, I went in the other day and I'm like, what horse is that in that corral? Because there used to be a brown one. Now the thing is nearly black, and you can see it here that, you know, these would have all been brown before for me in the Mustangs, but now they're almost black. So yeah, it's just been crazy because luckily I have other things I use to memorize them with. First of all, I know what corral they're usually in. There's patterns here, and like that one still has his 2 white feet, even though he has black above the white now, and a black mane when he used to be brown. So crazy times. Mustangs were nearly all brown for me too. Yeah, and they would just be like a little bit dark brown or something. What about that neon line? Oh, is that big long line building thing? Yeah, I don't know. That just kind of showed up. Like, they were already building it, and in 2 years, maybe they'll have lived there for 10 years, or I don't know. Frisian horses have really long manes and tails. Yeah, Gypsy Vanners, like, I didn't even heard of Gypsy Vanners till like 5 or 6 years ago. I certainly, it's not like I never looked at horses before. So this current storyline was they were brought to Australia, and it's like dingoes, because dingoes, they say they're wild dogs that escaped hundreds of years ago and formed their own species. So that's what they're saying about Brumbies, that they're a horse that probably came with the first fleet, and I didn't have a first fleet in my reality, but with the first fleet, and all just got wild and bred together, so they've been there for hundreds of years, and now they're their own species. That's the story, and they're called Brumbies, and there was like, what, 400,000 of them or something? Some kind of ridiculous amount of horses roaming all over Australia that have been there for hundreds of years. Oh yeah, I've seen my dogs and cats change colors. Yes, my kitty, he used to be like a tabby, but now he's almost all gray with only a little tabby under his tummy. A coloration that I don't think was even like I ever saw before, but now is very common. Did you hear about Carl Jung experiencing Mandela effects? No! That's really interesting. I have not. I'll put a quickie in, but that might take a lot of search. Carl Jung perfectly described the Mandela effect. When did that come out? Let's see. From 2 years ago, of course. He's talking about a man who had a premonition that 4,000 people would die in a volcanic eruption. While reading it, he misread 40,000 to be as 4,000. The mistake became fixed as a paramnesia, so that whenever he told the dream, he invariably said 4,000 instead of 40,000. Not until 15 years later, when he copied out the article, did he discover his mistake. His unconscious knowledge had made the same mistake in reading as himself. During the Christmas of 1918, I was occupied with Orphism, where the primordial light is described as the Trinitarian metis. I don't know any of this stuff. I don't get it. I mean, sorry. I don't know what he's describing. I'm not sure if I really understand. I mean, he's not saying reality changed, is he? He's saying he misread. I have to say I don't really understand what he's saying there. I don't know if the world's gotten more complex and confusing or I got stupider, but I'm definitely having harder time understanding everything I read too. It just seems like there's like really complicated, vague terms that I just don't get so easily anymore. Yeah, you got like 400,000 Brumby horses all over Australia. Now, I think in the old times, for me, the horses just didn't survive that well out in the deserts and stuff. They just needed lush grasses, and you didn't have it. I think they're a lot tougher now. And they're all over the place. We even had some here. Oh, that's another weird thing, because I think, 6-8 months ago, I looked up to see if there were wild horses in California, because I was sure there was not. I looked them up, and sure enough, we had some not far from here, even San Diego, and there was a whole storyline, like you could go up there and try to see them, but it was a real hard hike, and they might be there and they might not, and there was a whole story of somebody going up there looking for them. All right, so I'm like, well, I wonder if the wild horses have gotten more expansive since 6 months ago. I looked it up yesterday, I think. Was it yesterday or today? And they aren't there and haven't been since 2016. Now, I was thinking, if I'm not too lazy, maybe I'll go look for them. But now they were removed in 2016, and there are none up there, supposedly. Now, maybe 6 months from now, they'll have always been back up there again. But it just, I don't know. So we had them, then we didn't. We didn't have them, then we had them, then they were removed all 10 years ago. He remembers paintings that don't exist. Well, we do too, like the giant turkey drumstick one. Vesuvius. All right, it was Vesuvius for me. I think there was only wild horses in Arizona. Well, we didn't have them in California, but especially not here. All right. I don't even know what's going up in the north of California, but we did not have them here. We did, we didn't, we did, we didn't. I don't know. All right, we got 7 minutes left. Let me see if I can finish this. All right, I got to cover this one. Who found this? It's somebody named LOL_COO on Recon found this. Kind of perfectly matches the time, I think. So I said before that ginkgo trees changed. It's ginkgo. It used to be ginkgo, Ginko, ginkgo trees. So now it's ginkgo. I don't remember any of them smelling like vomit, but I guess the female ones do smell like vomit now. That might be a little bit older Mandela, but I'm really suspicious that they didn't used to. We had ginkgo trees on my street growing up. It was considered a rather unusual tree to have. They were sort of rare or something, non-native, but we had them all up and down our street, and they're cool. And the thing that confuses me is I thought that they did make pollen. I won't swear to it, but I do, which would make them female, but I don't remember them smelling like vomit. So I wouldn't swear on that one, but see if I can find this. So the story I read yesterday was that male trees could be male for years and years and years and years, and then change to females. Now they won't be as female, but they'll like have male branches and female branches, so they've gotten trans, basically. They can turn trans when they get older because of their reproductive fervor. Some stories were saying that if there's no females around, then some will change into female. So since the females smell like vomit now, the story is that everybody plants all males. But then the males now, oh, there's no females. We better make some females so we can reproduce. So they turn to females. It's a crazy story. Oh, here's interesting, because I have not read this one, but they're saying 75% of dead striped maples in samples had produced female flowers the year before they died. Well, most maple tree populations have a higher male to female ratio. So I guess dead striped maples can turn female before they die. Some male trees have a latent potential to produce seeds when placed under duress. Some will make the change towards the end of their lives. This phenomenon has been observed in trees other than the striped maple, including black gum, honey locust, ginkgos, which should be ginkgos, as well as other maples, particularly the red maple. No, this is total bull. That was not how it was. The striped maple is usually found in eastern Tennessee. These other types of gender-morphing trees are widespread in yards and parks across Nashville. So you have trans trees now. So it's more extreme with the ginkgos because I guess the females smell like vomit. So everybody plants males in the current timeline. And then later, 30, 40, 50 years later, suddenly it turns to a female and stinks like vomit. Charming. I guess you'd notice then, though. So that's the story. There's the sex-changing trees. All right, this one, I'm going to squeeze it in. I have a few minutes. So apparently tortoise shells molt now. The flakes come off. Now this used to be, to me, a sign of a dead turtle. But now this is normal. I guess now that I really think about it, I mean, how did they used to expand their shells? But I'm kind of confused how, like, they get, if this is bone, and is it live? I mean, how does it grow a replacement one? So I guess these fall off. So there must be, like, a shingle system, right? But, like, how does it make all these colors then? Does these fall off, and then I guess somehow they grow a new one? But, I'm not familiar of how bone grows into new shingles, so it's bizarre to me, but I've just not seen. So I guess now you could probably buy molted tortoise shingles or whatever they call these things. And this was found by user ZX8SI1ZY58. Good find, user person. So, yeah, tortoises now molt. Now I'm kind of curious if I can get my clutchy claws on some of these little pieces. I guess I have to figure out the name of it. It might be kind of fun as, like, to sell, to make jewelry out of it, assuming it would be legal. I mean, you can have some of these as pets, right? I mean, some tortoises are legal pets. But then tortoise shell, bad, bad, bad. So, I don't know. Maybe it's not legal, but... You don't have to kill the tortoise for these. They molt them, right? The other thing I saw was some kind of weird disease where the underside of the shell becomes see-through and you can see their organs up in there. And that was bizarre, too. I've never seen that. Yeah, I saw when I was in Arizona, I saw wild horses. We were up four-wheel driving around, and I saw them on this, but it was like they were near a river, so there would be grasses. It made sense that they could survive out there because there's year-round large river. We don't have that around here. Yet they were hacking it in multiple recent timelines. Palm trees have gender. Well, yeah, trees, I do remember having gender. I just don't remember them being able to change it with any kind of regularity. So the story is that the female ginkgos smell like vomit and the males don't, so that they always plant males. When did turtles become leopards? I don't know. They definitely have way more colorful shells overall than I remember. I find it odd that gators and crocs don't shed their skins like other reptiles. That's a good point because they do have those hard scutes, which I don't think maybe 20 years ago they didn't have hard scutes, but they do now have these bone-like scutes that are like those shingles, but they have, I think, skin over them. I think you have to kill the gator to get those, but they sell those scutes. I'll find it. Alligator. Which I saw those start to show up like maybe 10 years ago. Available for sale. Alright, so these are they. So they're basically armored now. They just used to have leathery skin, but now they have this armament that are these gator scutes. So those are cool. But Etsy has banned all gator shells because they're endangered, except for they're not. But I don't know. Etsy can be really weird sometimes. I wanted to get some of these and sell them, but I can't do it on Etsy, so. I mean, it's legal to sell them as far as the United States government. It's just Etsy is being a jerk about it. So yeah, Jockey was asking about the shark fin antennas. Like they look like little shark fins on top of the car. And I'm trying to think, I've seen those lately, but like how far do they go back? What's going on? I'm not sure on that one. All right, so I think I'm almost at the end here. All right, I have one left, but I'll save it for next week. And I have like 20 days worth of them on my Reddit save, so there'll be plenty of material next week. So yeah, okay. Since 2005 for the shark fins. I gotta say, I'm not as good on the gadgets for cars, but I have seen some changes in cars as far as some of the shapes and stuff. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you very much. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva, signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.